Welcome back everyone, DestinysJesus here. In this video, we're looking at how we were actually able to qualify for the FNCS Opens. As you can see here, it's not fully updated, but we've got 65th place. And we're going to go over a couple of our games, a couple of strategies for you guys to employ in the upcoming FNCS weeks, as well as all the cash cups and DreamHack extras that we've got going on. Before this video starts, make sure to go and subscribe since we're at 100k, and also make sure to go like the video. And let's get straight into this. So my biggest piece of advice when it comes to opens or any type of first round part of a tournament where it is open format is to always just play confidently, play for the refreshes you need to put yourself in a position to go for height and just dominate the lobby from there. All we did was just take a bunch of fights off spawn and then during mid game as well. I didn't clip those, but it was just very simple, just spraying and playing together. And then from there that allowed us to ramp height on 4 zone, ramp height on 50-50, and then also just play for height first moving, just simply padding and then all landing on front side together and cranking up. Another very important thing is whenever you go ahead into second moving in a zone pulse far like this and you begin to layer down if you're tarping, make sure you leave your teammates on the backside together playing height so nobody lands on you. As you can see here, there's loads and loads of players in the air that could land on me possibly, but because my teammates are on backside together, they're not going to get landed on and they can monitor and make sure I'm safe on front side and I don't get landed on as well. The rest of this game was pretty standard stuff. It kind of played back a couple times. My teammates set me up for heal off, I let them go down and get some kills, and then from there I just ran back in storm and played floppers and chug cannon for a long period of time. Also make sure to use your chug cannon sooner if you're trying to play heal off, just so it recharges while you're playing floppers. Something I forgot to do, but it is pretty important, so you're guaranteed win heal off. Pretty easy game. All we did was just take fights off spawn and mid game, obviously just taking smart fights together and fighting as a trio, and then we set ourselves up really well to do well in the moving zone. So one really big mistake that we actually made in our second game that resulted us in playing like a 20-minute game out for only 2 points is being way too overactive. As you can see, we don't really need anything. We've got good mats, we've got a launchpad and hot floppers as well. Obviously a refresh should be nice and you should try to go for a couple, but we're basically just going for refresh plays the entire time. We're going for pre-edit plays, we're going for plays in terms of dropping other players down, and that's what ends up getting us killed in the second turn. This team rotates in, I comment they're rotating in, and then we go for a drop down play in a second. So as you can see here, we're going for a drop down play on this team above us. I go ahead and block off this other angle and then begin to open up the drop down spray, and the other team below us just sprays up and gets me down to really low HP, and they knock my teammates out at the same time. And then from here we're able to survive as a duo, but they W key forward and get the loot obviously, and it's just because we've been way too overactive on kills, not really paying attention to surroundings, that it gets us put into this really scuffed spot. Meanwhile, I'm clutched up a little bit of placement as a duo, however it's very hard to do in these really stat lobbies since it was just storm surge moving for the most of the game. At the end here, I decided to try play a med kit back in the storm in a second, and this other player just caught me out and ran up to me. I didn't really expect it. So coming into our third game, we just did the same stuff as earlier, making sure that we've got a really good position to do on an end game. We've killed our spawn, we've also taken a couple smart fights and just box fighting teams that are near us. One important thing whenever you hit a pad like that is to build floors for your teammates just so they can land safely and you can all regroup. And then after we've hit this pad, very simply, we have still really good mats. My teammate gives me an extra pad as well. You need to make sure you put yourself in the best position possible to use that movement. So you can see here, I tarped in extra deep on the end of first moving, and that extra space that we've got on front side helps out really nicely in the second here, as you can see. I go ahead and say let's pad this just because it's putting into all this congestion. Obviously you don't want to tarp through that. So we pad, go really high, that extra space that we have is really useful, and then we go behind this tree to make sure we don't get beamed, and then choose a nice easy layer. And for the rest of this game, after we land on this layer, with the amount of mats that we have and the fact that we double padded just means that we can tarp for a long period of time, as you can see, and not really take any risks. So coming into final zone here, one big mistake that we made as a trio is not sticking together and not regrouping after we get a refresh. So you can see here, whole trio runs my box, end up killing one and the other one died to a different team, and at this point we should just use the chug cannon to put out this fire, get the mats and get all the loot, and then stay together. However, as you can see, we got sprayed out by height, ended up dropping down, hitting the max damage on this kid, had to run wide and storm, ended up cutting off this other random team that went in front, and at this point I should just wait and hold these teams in. Obviously it's a bit risky since obviously the ping's not the best to let these kids come in, so instead I edit, kill the one that's low HP, other one comes into my box, and ends up just kind of sham the situation. Definitely would have been the play there just to hold the wall with a code in my box something and try to wait for my teammates to come over, but I just went for the greedy play of getting the instant kill. As you can see, they all died to storm and we ended up getting loads of heals from that. However, in this position with still a long period of time left, it's very hard to clutch up and actually get enough placement out of this game as a solo, and we ended up getting 4th place. Get top 3 here, you can do it. Nice, Good game. So coming into our next game, as you can see, we're insanely stacked. We've got 2 pads and we've got really good setup in terms of mats and heals and items to do well in this end game. And all we need to do is just get onto a good layer and then start tarping. But as you can see here, we had to go for a load of congestion into this. So we ended up going low ground. They got us a refresh. However, it just meant our pad was going to be a little bit scuffed. And also I should have done a better job of scouting it. So you can see there, we get the kill, and that's a little bit scuffed because we're full low ground, don't really have the best spot to pad from, and that results in one of our teammates getting killed. Build around my pad, still get blocked off, but it actually works out pretty decently. However, at this point, I think, again, we should just committed into going for a full tarp rather than trying to use the pad, since it is really risky to keep padding this late, and it ends up in us getting split. We pad, regroup, get tools together, and at this point ends up a little bit scuffed. This is the point in the game where everyone in our trio should be at the front side and holding his position together. But instead, as you can see, they're being really aggressive on backside, trying to go for refreshes that we don't necessarily need, and that results in them getting killed. As you can see, I'm left to clutch up as a solo. I do actually get some decent placement in this game, just because I got all of the heals and mats on my teammates. I've got a chug cannon to clutch up, just fairly easy to do, and I ended up getting us into like a top 8 position. All I did was just tarp, make sure I'm building a lot and going for all of my mats, and boxing up in hards as I get into the end zone.
Go down. Nice. You still have 150 mats, don't die mats. Yeah.
Managed to get into the end zone here, my final build, just because I recycled other team's tarp. It's really important whenever you're trying to solo clutch, actually surf another team's tarp and try to save mats where possible, as I did there. And at this point, I'm just low ground, ran out of mats on second height, top 8. Not really the best, obviously still decent. So this next game was absolutely stacked. This is the second last game. We had a 48 moving with Storm Surge, and as you can see here, we've got no movement to rotate the zone with. So what we decided to do is just play front side low ground on the edge of Storm. So we're just staying edge of Storm. We need a lot of surge to get through this moving zone, and there's a load of players that are going to be fighting around near us. One thing that's really important whenever you're in the end zone like this is to make sure we stay within line of sight of each other. So as my teammates are going for these plays here, I'm able to help him out, cover his angles for him, and we're able to actually find a refresh and get just above Storm Surge from that.
Go first.
As you can see how stacked this game was, we're 120 below, we pick him up, headshot snipe him, I'm pretty sure, and we're still not above Surge from that one kill, and we have to all just play together.
It's fine.
I have 400 cards. Wait, I'm friends with him, I get Surge. Get up this there.
So as you can see, we tried to surf through this team's tarp and they actually stopped and we got some damage on them. However, it's really important at this point, when you've got this amount of mats and you're in a kind of scuff situation, my teammate has just got a refresh, is to find a good layer. And how do you find a good layer during endgame? First of all, you need to go to the edge of Storm. As you can see here, I immediately just start going to the left hand side of Storm and come to my teammates that they need to follow me and get up. And we get onto a perfect layer here, literally ideal. Really no issues with this layer at all. It's 2 off low ground, which is really nice. And I run out of completely 0 mats. Run back and Storm to help my teammates who are fighting, and I have to end up rezzing. But because of how good this layer is, I'm actually able to get a 10-second res off, and my teammates able to run us forward as a solo and tarp us in, just because of how good that layer was. And all it was because we went to the edge of Storm when needed.
I'm holding. Take half my wood.
Wait, I got 2 on top.
I'll wait, we can maybe...
I'm gonna head on this thing.
Yeah, no, I need to.
Again here, very shambles, we're all quite low HP. Important thing is to make sure you're staying together as you go for these refreshes. My teammate takes over top into a full team for some reason, but the important thing is because we're all together with tacs and shotguns out, we actually do get both of the refreshes right there, just because we come in at the same time.
Come.
You got mats.
Yeah, get them. Do you want to drop?
No, go. I've got 500 wood. Come. We need to drop low, I can't lie. Oh no, we can't.
Wait, hi. They're running out.
I got 100 wood.
Wait, take. I still want.
Nice. We're really good mats. Do not die. Stay together, right?
Yeah.
Take it.
Go far.
Now at this point, because there's 21 left in the final moving zone, if you die right now, it's only like 8th place. So we need to make sure that we all stay together. One of our teammates got dropped down by a full team, so it means our lot just stay together and play around each other for the rest of this moving zone.
This is really good there. People coming into us.
I have 140 wood, that's it.
You're not.
Go in, go in.
Yeah, you're so-
Go in. I got big off.
yeah.
In this, on me. Kill him. I'm gonna kill him. Right, I'm getting the match.
I'm waiting for you, I need the mats.
I have 300 mats. Come.
I need them.
Find you.
Come.
You have so many mats.
I have no problems.
You're top 4.
You're bomb. Come out this way. I'm dropping.
I'm on the stairs still.
One shot. Let's kill low.
Yeah, drop low.
My team at that point dropped down into Storm and killed low ground, so I tried to drop into low ground from the front, as you can see here, and just barely missed this round peak. Killed one of them, got round the left. I don't know how this guy hit me, to be honest, and ended up dying. Still not a bad game though. Top 3 there, and the main issue that we fixed, which is the fact that all of us were staying together for the majority of that moving zone. We're playing low ground together with 0 movement, and we managed to get a lot done just because we're all playing off each other while it's so laggy and everybody else is playing solo. So coming into first moving here, one big mistake that we made was not actually going ahead and using our pan from backside. As you can see, I tried to pre-tarp forward a little bit just to make a little bit of distance from this other team that was above us. I also made sure to block off absolutely everything back in Storm and do high walls so my teammates wouldn't get pumped. But as we hit this pad here, because we were so late on hitting it, our teammate actually ends up getting pumped. I tried to land early as possible by landing in this tree and building forward for him so he was able to land as quick as possible, so we 1 HP in the air. But as soon as he landed, he got pumped. One thing like this is obviously important to try to save your teammate. However, if he's going to go ahead and die, as you can see here, this other team acts really aggressively. I'm not able to get out in time and go for the res. Is to make sure you prioritize your own life and don't just die for the sake of dying when you can go ahead and clutch up as a solo or as a duo, as you see right here. We've actually still got pretty decent loot. We get the extra floppers from my teammate that died, and me and Warren are able to clutch up with hot floppers. One thing that's really important to do whenever you're using hot floppers is to stay on a high layer so you can go ahead and utilize dead side. As you can see here, he goes down. I tell him to stay on a high layer, as we do. We end up getting nice to a good high layer. And then right here, utilizing the dead side of zone with a hot flopper is extremely important. You can see how empty the side of zone is just because it was dead side earlier. We get into a really nice pre-front position, as you can see, and then just chill here and look for refreshes and look for plays and find some extra loot as well. Another thing, whenever you're trying to clutch up as a duo, is to make sure you play pumps out together. As you can see, we're not in the best situation, but because I run into this guy and get the kill and then get hit for 100, my teammate who's right behind me is able to actually get the thirst and get the refresh as well, which is so important. And as soon as I know he's got that refresh from the kill that I got, I just get up into a nice edge spot, again playing for the edge of Storm, get onto a nice high layer on a second tier, and get us into a really good position going into the third moving zone. So as soon as zone pulls our way out into this open space, we try to go for a good layer swap. Obviously we could keep playing that layer there, but going into low ground here allows us way more opportunities for going for refreshes, since we're in this kind of choke point where people have to come through the castle building. Our teammate actually gets a kill in a second, just because we did that exact play where we jumped down together and claim low ground.
Have you got mats to come to me?
Dead. Yeah, I'm
You
gonna
can see he gets the kill there, and he also gets 500 metal just from that one kill.
come.
As soon as he gets that metal, I get us out into a clear edge Storm, get us forward onto a nice good layer, and at this point we can just chill and play together. Really important to start thinking about heal off as early as possible here. If we had a chug cannon or something like that, we could have gone for a proper heal off rather than trying to clutch it up as we did later on.
I'm gonna get the loot. Got truck cannon.
I'm on your box. Chop through here.
I see the mini.
Chop through.
I have like 100 odds.
You need to give him wood. Warren is 500 wood.
Nice, thank you.
That's better.
It's like fine.
Chuck on yourself.
I'm no mats. I didn't get the wood. I didn't get the wood. Where's the wood?
Oh shit. I don't know. I dropped one here.
As you can see there, I didn't actually pick up the wood the first time we dropped it. It just completely vanished back into Storm. And at this point, we should start thinking about heal off. My teammate's got chug cannon, I've got floppers. We should have stacked one of us into a really position. There's loads of extra chug cannons on Storm. So I ended up getting this guy in front of me killed because he ran out in front. And at this point, I'm starting to think about the 1v1 rather than just thinking about the heal off. If Warren gave me his chug cannon earlier, I'd have had these floppers to play, that chug cannon there, his original chug cannon, and the chug cannon below my feet, which could have easily converted into a win, since his other team, as you can see, is completely shambles on height. Dropped down the Storm, picked up this one chug cannon. This is a really dumb peek, I don't know why I did that. I got killed, but my teammates luckily enough able to clutch up 1 extra kill and then get 2nd place.
You want heal off? You want heal off? Oh, nice try.
You're so...
Still pretty decent overall. This is the first time playing together. If you guys might remember, I played with Zalok in the Sand season, like season 5 a long time ago. He's definitely improved since then. So make sure to go check these guys out on Twitter and follow them. And also make sure to subscribe as well. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to leave a like if you did.